Joining us now to discuss is Pennsylvania Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. Congressman, always great to see you. Man, a lot to talk about with you. So many moments. I first want to play some sound, though, of Biden responding to a question on North Korea. I want to play this for you, and we'll get your reaction to it. Here's that.
What is your red line on North Korea?
Let me say that, number one, UN Resolution 1718 was violated by those particular missiles that were tested, number one. We're consulting with our allies and partners, and there will be responses if they choose to escalate. We will respond accordingly.
This answer goes on, Congressman. Clearly what you're seeing there, he's looking down the entire time and reading. Then there are photographs that actually took a picture of his notes. There it is. He's reading word for word from his bullet points there. I actually went back and watched and read along, and it was verbatim on a script. Why does the President of the United States need a notepad to discuss North Korea?
Well, exactly. And just to put this in even more context, remember, not only was he reading from notes, almost verbatim, he was also taking questions from pre-screened reporters and he knew the questions that were going to be asked. To call this a press conference is absolutely insulting to the press. This is an absolute sham. And the fact that Joe Biden couldn't answer just elementary questions on foreign policy and domestic policy is shocking. I've said often the only decision they allow Biden to make is how he's going to take his coffee in the morning. It's very clear that he is not up to the job. Look, if this was President Trump, we'd be talking about the 25th Amendment today. But because it's Joe Biden, people look the other way. Just getting back, though, to North Korea, this isn't anything new. We've been dealing with North Korea as a tension point in foreign policy for decades now. Joe Biden should know this inside and out. He came from the Senate. He was the vice president. This should be something that he has a command over. And the fact that he is stumbling through this, all it does is it emboldens our adversaries across the world, not only North Korea, but the Chinese Communist Party, the Iranians, the Russians. Here is the leader of the free world, and he is literally reading from a cheat sheet on pre-screened questions from friendly reporters. It's a sad day.
A lot of folks have said that. A lot of other things were mentioned in that room, one being the border and the crisis that we're facing there. There's some non-factual information that came from the president's mouth. But bottom line is reporters want to get into these facilities to see how they're treated. A lot of folks want to see some of these leaders visit the border. And in fact, just moments ago, President Trump advisor Jason Miller not ruling out on a podcast a possible visit by former President Trump to the U.S.-Mexico border. We haven't heard if Biden would do it or not, but the fact is former President Trump may visit the border. He's done so in the past. It's been a great part of his campaign. Would you like to see the former president visit the border during this time?
Well, I of course, would like to see President Trump visit the border. I have visited the border. A lot of my colleagues have. And when Kamala Harris was asked if she was visiting the border, she laughed. She cackled. This is a joke to the Democrat Party. It's certainly a joke to this administration. But this is not a laughing matter. We're on track to hit 15-year highs of illegal immigrants coming across the border. And look, I don't begrudge people coming here for a better life, but they should do it legally. They should follow the process. And let's talk about the humanitarian crisis aspect of this as well. When the illegal immigrants are coming through Mexico and coming through other parts of Latin America, it is incredibly dangerous. There's a lot of assaults. There's a lot of sexual assaults. There's murder. This is very dangerous. That's why President Trump put in the asylum in place standard where people could seek asylum without taking the dangerous trek to the United States under the so-called protection of coyotes who are human smugglers. The mainstream media doesn't know that term, but with the coyotes and with the drug cartels, it's very dangerous. Also, it's reckless to tear down the wall. Joe Biden's actually deconstructed portions of the wall. They're also engaging in catch and release. And when Joe Biden stands there on the stage and says, oh, they're coming because I'm such a good guy. No, they're coming because Joe Biden and the administration, the Democrats, have a horrible reputation of immigration. This is the party of lawlessness and open borders, and it's leading to chaos and a crisis at our southern border.
It's not a partisan fact either when you have Mexico's President Obrador saying they're coming because of your policies, the president of Mexico, because it's not just Mexico, I think folks may be confused by. It's Central America folks that are moving up through that area to get to the country. And you know where they're staying in different facilities in our country. In fact, Biden now sending migrants to military bases, opening up Fort Bliss. I'm just curious, with your background, what's your reaction to that?
Well, just talking about the Mexican president, if the Mexican president had criticized President Trump, this would have been blasted and parroted on all the media outlets for days. But because it's a foreign leader that's criticizing President Biden, it is buried. You'll only hear about it on conservative networks, and it just shows the media bias. But in terms of Biden using military bases, it shows the extent of this crisis. For weeks, we were told that this was a so-called challenge. There's nothing to see here, folks. Move along. When the press is still asked, even yesterday, if they could get into these detention facilities or these holding facilities, Joe Biden said, we'll get to it. We'll show you later when I'm ready. It's unacceptable. And the fact that they're now looking at housing illegal immigrants in military bases shows you the extent of this crisis.
Yeah, convention centers as well. A lot of folks upset about that. Before you go, a couple more things I want to ask you about. One is this, Congressman. The Secret Service reportedly interceded 2 years ago on behalf of President Biden's son, Hunter. This is an alleged attempt to sweep under the rug evidence of a possible gun purchase after the revolver mysteriously vanished. So agents tried to obtain the paperwork for the gun sale to Hunter Biden from the store where he bought it, but the owner reportedly refused to hand over the documents. This is according to two sources who spoke to Politico about this. What's your reaction to this? And also part of that report that Hunter reportedly said there was no drug use to be able to purchase this gun, but the allegations point to the contrary.
Well, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Hunter Biden. And isn't it coincidental that in those pre-screened questions yesterday, there wasn't one question about Hunter Biden? Not only the alleged illegal gun purchase, the illegal drug use, what was on that laptop, but also no questions if Hunter Biden has divested from the $1 billion hedge fund that the Chinese Communist Party gave him when Joe Biden was the vice president. Zero questions. And I think the fact that you're hearing nothing in the media about this shows you the bias that is out there with the media. And remember that during the election, the mainstream media and big tech and the Democrat Party worked hand in glove, tactics very reminiscent of the Chinese Communist Party, I might add, with their suppression of the news and facts. And a lot of Democrat voters had zero idea that Hunter Biden was embroiled in a scandal. And again, you see this bias in the mainstream media acting as lapdogs when no one brings this up. So yeah, I want to hear more about what happened with the illegal handgun purchase, especially as Joe Biden lectures people, especially in Western Pennsylvania, who own guns legally when his son is involved in an alleged illegal gun purchase. I want to hear him answer those questions. The drug use, what else was on that laptop? And again, I want to hear more about the connections with Hunter Biden and the Chinese Communist Party, the Russian oligarchs, the natural gas company in Ukraine.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, because a lot of reporters did not get called on, some that would have asked these tough questions yesterday, and we don't know when he'll hold another press briefing. Before you go, you brought up Pennsylvania, your home state. I've got to ask you about that because Biden, the president, is reportedly going to your home state of Pennsylvania next week to sell infrastructure package. Could cost an estimated $4 trillion. What is your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that and the infrastructure as it's dubbed, though we know there's a lot more inside of this package?
Yeah, well, I feel like this infrastructure package is pretty much infrastructure in name only. This is just a backdoor Green New Deal. And for any of my constituents, anybody in Pennsylvania, just remember, whenever Biden is talking, remember that he broke his promise on fracking and natural gas. Not only did he break the promise, he did it on day number one of his administration when he had an executive order canceling the Keystone XL pipeline. This is a man who is hell-bent on destroying the natural gas and oil industry and the coal industry. You cannot trust him when he talks about these policies. And what I think he's going to do is he's going to have a huge tax component of this infrastructure package where you're going to see increased taxes, not only a personal income tax, you're going to have the bracket shifting as well. So working families are going to get hard by this plan. So it might sound good. It might sound like they're ideals we want to aspire to. But don't kid yourselves. This is going to mean less money in your pocket less jobs and less career opportunities for average Americans.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Always great to see you, Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, joining us live
Thank
here.
you, Sean.
Okay, yeah, Guy, have a good weekend. Good to see you.
You too.